Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. It's me, DIGI. Surprise! Welcome back to Sunday streams. It's been a while since I've actually done a stream on a Sunday afternoon, and typically I don't usually kick off this late in the afternoon. But circumstances being what they are, we're here. Just doing a quick check of my volume levels. I think we're going to be okay. I'm loading into FS 2020, and I got inspired by some folks that were doing some flying in the sim. So I think what I might do, for convenience sake, for fun, and with absolutely no qualms about whether or not I'm going for any kind of major realism, which is a decided left turn to the kind of flying I used to do on networks. I think I'm going to do a really relaxed, lazy, fun series, just catching up with you guys, having a great time in the sim. For me, kind of getting back to the heart of what it was that I enjoyed about Flight Sim, about just kind of like, discovering either the world or just having fun flying planes, having fun flying, heavy, expensive, not necessarily system dense planes, but the kinds of planes that I'm never going to fly in real life. I mean, maybe Yahweh has different plans for me that might change, but so far, I do not picture myself piloting a cargo or a passenger-based tube-liner anytime soon, at the least. With that said, welcome aboard. Happy to have you. We're actually going to do some flying today. I know that might throw a few people since I've been doing a lot of trucking and I do scenery development. If you're new to the channel, I have been a flight sim streamer for many years, since I believe I want to say 2018. 2018 was when I actually became an affiliate and started the affiliate program. But yeah, sheesh, now it is going on 7 years. 7 years in either April or May. I think I'm going to say April. But suffice it to say, it has been a while, and I still like being a part of the community, even if sometimes the challenges involved with streaming or in general trying to do things on stream gets a little tricky. I'm going to hit my lossless scaling mode, and we're going to see whether or not we get a little extra boost. It's not really a boost in frame rate, it's just more like the system making things a lot more consistent. I'll take a smooth 30 over a stuttery or really in flux 60 frames per second. I'll take a smooth 40, but what I discovered was when I tried to use NVIDIA GeForce Experience, it suggested a much higher resolution and the use of DLSS. And I was like, wait a minute, something seems very weird about that. So I decided to go with it. It looked good, but I wasn't kind of pleased with the results. It turns out when I use my NVIDIA recommendations with lossless scaling, I actually get a much more enjoyable experience. Like really, really enjoyable. But because I actually want to do this in in deference and respect to Canada, I'm going to not go with the utter default Airbus A320neo. I think I'm going to try flying the fly-by-wire if I can find it. It should be around here. There we go. All right, I missed him. So I thought I had an Air Canada delivery. There it is. All right. I don't know what the registration is for it, but I'm just gonna load in because I think the old school liveries, they had a registration on the plane already, and I forget what the registration number was. And I just, I'm cool. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. I am gonna go ahead and set up for a flight, and we're gonna go up here, and I'm going to rewind time a bit. Now, some of you folks might have issues with this, but I'm going to do pretty much as much planning as humanly possible through the world map and through getting the flight plan plugged in when we're on the ground. So at St. John's, we're going to depart from the passenger terminal, and I believe what we're going to do is probably pick a gate like 3 or 9, but I think 9 and 8 are pretty huge. So is 1. Let's go ahead and pick. Yeah, let's stick with 3. 3 should be fine. Pick 3 as a departure, and now we're going to zoom out and we're going to pick kind of like the first place we're going to go to. But I'm also going to rewind time a bit just so I can see the map as a whole. Okay, there we go. We're leaving St. John's. We could fly to St. Pierre. However, I do not believe that's a very big runway at all. So if I was going to fly to St. Pierre, it would probably be this airport. But that looks like a pretty small. Well, I mean, it's possible, yes, but I'm not sure if I want to fly there today. If I do, it'd be a short flight. I wonder whether or not we could manage to sneak in a flight from St. John to Halifax. I wonder. It's going to be a default airport since I don't have any add-on scenery, but that's okay. I'm a scenery developer, and if I can stop being lazy, I could probably make my own version of Halifax. But there are a lot of airports that I want to build, and that's part of a bigger story. So, okay. For starters, let's just go ahead and assume that we're flying here right now, just so we can get a taste of what the flight time is going to be. Oh, wow, really? 477 nautical miles in an hour and 4 minutes of flight time. That's a little ambitious, but apparently not that bad. So we have an arrival coming in on the Lirla 5 for runway 23 to tree. And what do we have? What do we have? I feel like it's going to be 23. And pretty much it. Approach is going to be automatic. We could probably pick the ILS once we get in the area. Make things interesting. But at the same time, nope, don't care. I'm going to go ahead and plan as much as I can from here. And I believe most of, if not the entire flight plan, should actually be loaded in my FMC when I actually load into the plane. We are going to fly the fly-by-wire. I was gonna try flying the default A320, but since I want the Air Canada delivery and I can, do a little bit of work on the systems, we can go this route. So that puts me at about 6:30, 7 o'clock my time, depending on how quickly it takes for me to get off the ground at St. John's. That's good. That's good. I am okay with that. I'm not going to take 6:24. I'm probably going to depart right around 1:50 in the afternoon. And let's see, do I want all players and live traffic? Yeah, probably, because there's not a lot of traffic anyway. We're departing what runway? We are departing on runway 29er, which means that when we taxi out of here, we will okay. We'll have to taxi. We'll potentially be taxiing up one of the runways. And to be honest, I'm okay with that. So let's go ahead, get planning, get started. So welcome aboard once again, and I hope that you guys are having a very good afternoon or evening. or morning, depending on what corner of the world you call home. We are about to do our first flight in an impromptu Go West Young Man series of flights over Canada. It'll be a one flight stream today, and then I'll probably be heading off, not like incredibly fast, but it will be done once I actually get there. Looks like we've got snow here too. All right, so I don't want to take too long on the ground at St. John's, but we are going to get out of here, and I do believe we're going to use either that runway, runway 29er, or one of the taxiways. And let me go ahead. I think what I'm going to do is get myself connected to ground power and probably run my anti-ice while I'm on the ground. I don't think it's going to cause any problems, but maybe I'm wrong. Hook up the jetway, give me some power, get catering and baggage started, and let's go ahead and take a look up north, and we will activate external power now. I'll start getting the oxygen going. And again, probe window heats now, nav and logo lights to position 1, and we will get the overhead lighting up. I will take a quick peek at the... Oh no, that's emergency. Okay, I'll just take a quick peek at the overheads. Based on what I can see so far, we're looking good. I will adjust the panel lighting because things, and we should be off the ground probably in the next like 20-25 minutes or so. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. And I'll take care of the eCam screen brightness here, and also here, and we will have some fun getting the brightness for these screens up as well. I, in general, endeavor to keep an eye on chat, but if for some reason I miss you, my apologies. Okay, overheads I think are good for annunciators. Let's go ahead and activate the navs. Okay, so we've got nav and logo lights on. We don't need to put anything else on outside. I could theoretically get the APU bleed going, except for the fact that we have external power right now, which is okay. I will turn on my batteries. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and increase the intensity of the lights for the MCP. It has been a while since I've flown this bird. And also work on the onboard panel lighting. You got a little bit of lighting for the main panels, a little bit of mood lighting. I like that. Close the door. And now let's go ahead and get started. I updated, I updated my AirX cycle because I was behind in FS 2020 and 2024. So I should be able to do some flying. And you know what? Just to make things easier, could I, in theory, take that flight and pop it into a flight plan on simbrief.com? You used to be able to do that. You used to actually be able to feed your flight plan into SimBrief and actually get a flight plan crafted through it. But I think what had to happen was I had to actually go through I had to go through the charts page. Okay, so give me just a moment. Okay, that should be my sign-on. And let's go ahead and hurry up. And let's see. Can I do something? Stay flight, new flight, airframe editor. And let me go and open up charts. And let's see what happens. So, signing into the web UI. And let me see if I can import a flight. No, I can't. I seemingly can't import a flight from the sim. So, I know I said I was just going to fire up a flight from here, but I'm probably going to use SimBrief to help me. So, that's not going to take me too much longer. Air Canada 197 departing. Where are we? I think it was CYYT to CYHZ. Let's see. Let me double check. I'm going to fire up VATSPY real quick. We actually do have control. I'm kind of tempted to do this on the VAT. That would be great. CYYT to CYHZ. It would give them some more traffic. And they still have a good chunk of planes coming in from overseas. So let's see. For the record, ATIS on VATSIM, we have winds 300 at Niner, 29990. They have information Mike. Requested approach at initial contact. Landing and departing runway 28. So it's 28. It's not 29. It's 28. Okay. And let's see. Aircraft type Neo. And what is my registration actually? Whatever I want it to be. Okay, because this one actually lets you pick a registration on it. We'll try to remember that for next time. We'll just call this a ferry flight with passengers. But let me give myself a registration. November 251 Sierra Bravo is just fine. 251 for the fin. Does it have a fin number? Nope. And we'll take units in kilograms. Block time is 2 hours and 5 minutes, so I'm assuming basically about an hour 45 at minimum. We're kind of chewing through that time right now, and we'll leave numbers on auto, departing 28, landing 23 at Halifax. Let's generate the flight now, real fast. Okay, and let's see if I can actually import that into charts from SimBrief. We'll take it. St. John's to Halifax, and my SimBrief is working. Yay. Good. All right, superb. So let me go ahead and update this and import it into here as well. From SimBrief, there we go. Let's get weather. Oh, no METAR available. I might have to check my settings. But I also have weather through VATSPY anyway, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. We've got this. Let's go ahead and get our planning set up. And while we're at it, let's go to Atsu. Let's get some weather popped in. Send. GPS is fast aligning, so we should be able to get out of here now that the GPS is aligned. And let's check receive messages. METAR. Okay, no METAR available. I guess I'd have to check my settings. So why don't I do that? AOC. There's something about this that I'm missing. Hold on. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have to do that there. I can do that right here. All right. Can we check real fast? Come on. All right. Sim options. External McDo, ILS, realism. METAR source. There we go. Let's take VATSIM. Now I should be able to get weather. There we go. See? Now we've got weather. So winds 2 at 0 at Niner. Visibility 12 statute. We've got snow showers. And clouds broken at 3,200. Overcast 4,300. Dew point -4. I'm sorry. Temperature -4. Dew point -8. And the altimeter is 299.0. So there we go. That's calibrated. And now we can take a look and get our stuff. I might be able to actually change this here as well, but let's check. You used to be able to get the weather source figured out in the sim, but hold on. Com menu, data mode, I don't care. Go to AOC. Let's see if I can change the source. And let's see if by changing it, I actually get a return. Yes, there we go. And there goes my printed weather, which I'll reference. I think I'm going to just chill and really be cool about this flight today. So I'm not going to go on VATSIM, but I'm going to go ahead and poach the weather and just enjoy the experience. So with that said, I'm probably going to set up my squawk to be what I usually like it to be. And now that I have the weather, I can actually get on with the task of prepping the flight. So back to weight and balance. Let's get our OFB request. And I think boarding is fast, but let's see. There we go. And I should be able to pick a interior view to hear people load, which is what I like to do. That's a pretty good view. All right. I think we've got some company. Is that a... That's actual traffic. That's IRL traffic. Give or take like 5 minutes. But we are boarding, so we should get going here. Now, let me take a look at my flight plan. We do have some legs, and I'm going to go ahead and correlate the flight plan with what I have. The Learla 5 arrival into Halifax. There we go. ILS 23 chosen, and Learla 5 is done. No transition, and insert. Now, let me double check. Liros and Mitik. Let me double check the approach. Which one did I choose? ILS 23, but was it just final? Let's add it. It was Liros and Mitik. Yes, that kind of threw me for a loop because I was expecting to get like, discontinuities and things like that. But it's, wow, this is actually a pretty straightforward flight. We're literally almost going direct Agmere. So what I need to do is add in a few waypoints, and I'm going to do that. So let's add St. John's, and we're going to also add Texid, and there we go. There's my flight plan. Okay, Agmere, Learla. So now we've got a better approach here. Literally. And now that we've got the flight plan in place, let's go ahead and check performance. Okay, now what do we have for performance numbers? Let me go check my screen. Do I have one for that? Yes, I do. Great. So give me performance numbers, please. Let's see. I thought numbers were here. Overview OFP fuel. How much fuel are we taking? Let's take a look at the flight plan. Thank you very much. We're going to take 5.7 kilos of block fuel. We have 9.4. What's the panic flight fuel, or what I like to call the mega tanker? The max that we need is 7.1, so we'll keep it at 7.1 for now. That's fine.
Ladies and gentlemen from
And
the flight deck, on behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer, and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to receive final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
okay. So, is there anywhere on the OFP that I can use to check the config? It's probably already set for me, so let me just double check the screens. Init, let's go ahead and request. I thought we plugged that in. That's weird. Oh no, wait. Okay, why don't I see that? That's a little weird, but that's okay. Like I said, I'm not going to sweat the details. The cost of the next for today's flight is going to be 5. And cruise is going to be at 380. Nice and tidy. And what do we have even? There we go. 60.6 at 24.3. And how many passengers are we taking today? We're taking 186. So that's cool. Nick, great to see you, my friend. Welcome aboard. We are actually flying on stream. Amazing, isn't it? I am in FS 2020, and we're going to do a flight today from St. John's to Halifax. I felt like flying west through Canada, so I think it's going to be a little bit of a mini series. And I'm going to take about 7,100 kilograms of fuel. We'll say 7.1. I have like 7.2. So essentially, we have at least 3,200 kilos available. I'm flying the fly-by-wire in the Air Canada livery. I didn't put a registration. I'm just going to go ahead and call this a ferry flight with passengers just for fun. And basically, it is what it is. So we've got the flight plan in, and now that we've got the flight plan in, will it tell me? It will not tell me what the numbers are going to be. I think I might actually be able to tell it based on calculations. I thought, oh no. It must be the any builds Neo that actually does that. So I'm just going to go ahead and look and try to look cool and figure out the best I can as quickly as possible. But I have a feeling I'm probably going to be fine with the runway length. So let me just take a quick peek at the charts for CYYT. Runway 28 is 8,502 feet long. So I do not think we're going to have a problem if we do something like, sheesh, what? V1 at 140? I'm just literally making this up off the top of my head, so don't worry about me. I'm probably going to say V2 is going to be 155. And then flex temp, we're probably going to make about 70. Transition altitude, 18,000. And then flaps, based on the loadout that I suspect we have, I'm probably going to take an up of at least 0.4. With the weather, I'm gonna make it 0.5. And now we have some made up performance numbers, and we can go ahead and focus on getting the plane ready for departure. So we got the flight plan in. Let's go ahead and get those fuel pumps on. We will not be here much longer. Let's get beacon lights on. Yep, there we go. So, beacons on, seatbelt and electronic signs are on. And let's go ahead and fire up the APU. I'll get the APU bleed on now. And as we do that, let's go ahead and start planning for our pushback. I'm going to dismiss several folks, including catering, baggage, and power once the APU is started up. So catering can go away, baggage can go away, the jetway can go away, and it should. There we go. Bye bye jetway. Thank you very much. And now we can plan for pushback. So we were gate 3, I believe. So now we should be able to, let's see, can I zoom out? Yes, I can. Superb. All right, we're gonna go. We're gonna go almost straight across the. Excuse me. Hello. That's a little weird. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Don't know why. But let me try it again. I seem to have lost the icon, but it's okay. If I have to, we'll do this. Press backspace to remove last set waypoint. There we go. All right. So I don't have to worry about that. That's okay. We'll do a manual pushback. APU bleed is on and available. We should be able to disconnect external power, and we will get the power dismissed. So power's going back, and we'll get the pushback truck available. Manual pushback. Pushback truck is going to get in position, and we are going to set ourselves up for TARA for funsies and get ourselves set. What am I missing? Well, probably turn the weather off for now. It is off. Good, 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 good. And let's go ahead and release the parking brake and start the pushback process. So, reverse slowly and get the clock running. Now let's go ahead and switch over ignition. Let's hit engine 2, please. Here goes. Beautiful. Good start on engine 2. Looks like it's firing up. Not a problem. And we can go a little bit faster on the pushback. That's fine. Okay, 15. Let's go ahead and activate engine number 1. Turn on constraints while I'm at it. And just a gentle turn to the right as we go. Standby lights on. Not too shabby. A little behind on the time, but that's okay. We'll try to make it up in flight. Okay, looks like both engines are available. I should be able to cut the APU bleed now. Doing so, APU can come off. And let's see. We have precip, I mean, a little bit of snow, but what's the outside temperature? Forgot where it was that it showed. Good gravy. That's okay. Right here. Outside temperature is -4. Okay, that's fine. This is just fine. Go ahead and hold and stop pushback. Parking brake is set. All right. And the same little tradition that I do when I fly, thumbs up and a salute to the pushback driver, which means we are committed to our flight. It's a DIGI exclusive. So we just finished activating the engines. Let's go ahead and do a quick flight controls check. Fuzzy Pickles, we are not there yet, but I am privileged to have you aboard, friend. Thanks so much for stopping in today. Folks, where are my manners? I have to apologize once again. If you don't know my friends Nick Gressla and Fuzzy Pickles, I would highly invite you to go check them out. These are friends of the channel that actually stream as well, and they have channels that are active on Twitch. So please feel free to take a few seconds to give them a follow now if you'd like. They are DIGI approved, without question. So, don't mind me, folks. Just going to go ahead and leave a screen up. Oh, you're very welcome, Nick. I have my notifications on in case Mrs. Digi needs me, so if there's any point in time during the stream when I have to go ahead and step off, I will do so. Alright, so we just finished pushback. Let's go ahead and take a look at our flight controls. Full left is fine, release. Full right is fine, also release. Full forward. Full back. And then we have full left rudder, full right rudder. Let's test those reversers. Reversers firing. Speed brakes deploy. Speed brakes fine. Can I arm said speed brakes? Not with that, at least. Alright. Well, that's okay. That's okay. In the absolute worst case scenario, I can activate them manually. So now we can activate our weather system, get our PWS and GCS turned on, and now that our engine is running, I can turn off the ignition mode. And here we go. Flight controls are checked. We have fuel on board, 7,200 kilos, and cabin. We're looking a bit toasty up there. Let me see. Let's bring the cabin temps down a bit, because a cold cabin is a compliant cabin. Keep them cold and compliant. That's my motto. And now I can get my strobes into the auto position, get my landing gear lights to the ready to deploy position, and that should do it. I can't think of much else, but let's go ahead and just hit the all call. And that should do it for us. And okay, let me check. It's a direct departure, so I'm going to set for our departing altitude, and I'm not going to worry about that. There we go. Heading, I'm just going to go ahead and default to a heading of 280 for our departure today. And that's it. Now we have our departing heading. We have altimeter set, initial climb set. We don't have a departure out of St. John's. We are going direct to the St. John's VOR. And I'm going to set my auto brake to max and set my flaps for takeoff. So flaps are position 2 with an up of 0.5. So about halfway up the pipe here, and that should be okay. Let's go ahead and release that parking brake and get taxiing. Certain Airbus models and especially certain engine variants are going to taxi under idle thrust. So what you're literally seeing is me not adding a single drop of, throttle detent to this. It will happily, apparently, taxi on its own. Now, I'm going to add a touch of power just to get the show on the road. And again, we should be to Halifax in probably about an hour 15, hour 30. I'm going to say an hour 30 minutes. So basically, at this point, we're looking at about 7:30 on the clock, and that's fine. And you may not see me on tonight on any Twitch channel, or if I am, I'm going to be just decidedly chilling out. Had a good day. Woke up, watched church online, and I took care of a few things. Cleaned up the house a bit, and also got to a place where I went through a few of my files, things like that. Had a good day. Had a good day. One last flirtatious fling with cold weather. I don't know about you in your part of the world, but definitely the weather, the days are starting to get longer. So I think the weather is actually improving overall, and by improving I mean getting warmer. It kind of makes me a teensy bit melancholy because I like it cold and snowy. But hey, I mean, we had our time. We had our time. We're okay. Okay, so we are transitioning onto active runways. We have lights already. Was it strobe or, excuse me, strobe and turn off lights. Yeah, Fuzzy Pickles, I'm happy. I'm happy. Let's stay off the runways as long as we can until we have to use them. So I'm going to go ahead and use the taxiway alongside this runway. If that's 2.8, then I'm assuming this runway is like 3.2, 3.3. Ground speed 13, we are definitely keeping it moving, and I expect to hit like ground speed 20 knots as we get ready to depart. So let me take a look at my surroundings on the map once we actually get closer to getting out of here. The only thing I have to do is double check my takeoff config button before we get out so that everything on the eCam memo screen shows up as green and no blue. And here we go. That's fine. Let me hit the takeoff config button. We're good. And I can leave this at fuel or just let the system pick whatever screen it wants to show me. Also, while we're taxiing, let's go ahead and take a look at the map. I am taxiing up Charlie. Actually, it looks like this runway got decommissioned. So the runway to my left is actually a taxiway at this point. It is... Wait, hold on. Yes, that's actually no longer a runway IRL. That's actually a taxiway. And that's taxiway Mike. I'm on taxiway Charlie, going to taxiway Bravo. And Bravo feeds into Mike, which feeds into 2.8. Given the weather, I'm going to go ahead and use as much room as I can for the departure, but the runway I did cross, which was diagonal, was actually 3-4. All right. Let's get ready for departure. Get my landing lights on, turn off light off.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
And am I missing anything? I'm going to turn on my anti-ice just because of precip and the cold weather. And we should be able to get out of here shortly. By the way, apologies for any flickering you see. I might have to spend some time finessing the settings for my lossless scaling because normally those flights don't flicker. It is not an issue with aircraft systems that I'm aware of. But let's go ahead and prep. And since I've crossed into the active, let's go ahead and hit the chrono. And now we're going to get ourselves lined up and we're going to take off. I set the flex temp for about exactly 70 degrees. And that should be everything I need. Flaps are set, trim is set. Theoretically, if I'm concerned about performance, I could do a pack soft departure, but I don't think we're going to have a problem. I really don't. All right. Idle thrust is more than enough for this bird. And I'm a little bit left of center. But that's just fine. Alright, put your Flex SRS runway emotes in chat if you got them. Let's go ahead and get on out of here. About 50% and 1 just to get the bird warmed up. We have auto brake RTO or max. And let's go ahead and get out of here. Manflex SRS. We are on the runway. Auto thrust is blue. Airspeed's alive and we are 80 knots. Still in control. No issues. Okay, V1 and rotate. Gentle pull back on the stick. Superb. Positive rate. We'll go gear up. And flaps to position 1 with slats. Okay, 500 autopilot. Alright, autopilot kind of doesn't know which way to go. Let's go ahead and make its mind up for it. We're going to turn left to get back on the intercept for departure. We're going direct to St. John's VOR. Yankee Yankee Tango. Sneak a quick peek at the ground before we say goodbye to St. John's area. And there's the airport in the background. And now I can go managed. And you know what? No, we're fine. Let's go ahead and go thrust climb. There we go, thrust climb set. And flaps in. Ice isn't detected, but we're going to leave the anti-ice on until we do a breakthrough anyway. Nose light off, landing lights on. Strobe, beacon, wing, and logo lights are on. And tell you what, since we don't have any ATC, let's go ahead and go open climb. Listen to that. Listen to that plane. We are leaving St. John's behind, and we are on our way to Halifax today. So, flight 1 of an impromptu Fly Canada series. I'm kind of glad I did this. Okay, here we go. I was looking for the outside temperature. TAT is -4, SAT is -14. We technically do not have... Oh no, wait, the ice not detected warning went away. So, I'm glad I turned it on. I'm probably going to leave the anti-ice on until probably at least 1,000 feet or 2,000 feet above the clouds, and then shut it off. Just got my first taste of blue skies, so this is good. We are on our way, chat. $8,500, and looks like we've got breakout right now. Wonderful. It's pretty bright out there. I've got like my screen set to pretty much max brightness, and it's still kind of hard to look at them. We're 10,000 feet. Let's go ahead and shut our landing lights off and put them away for now. And once I hit 11,000, I'll go ahead and turn off any ice. Does this flight have pretzels? But of course. And Biscoff cookies. Okay, so we're 11,000. Let's go ahead and turn off the anti-ice. And we should be a-okay. Alright, superb, wonderful, swell. We are well above the clouds at this point. We're on our way to 38,000 feet. And let's take a look at the light. We're going to wind up kind of up here. This is Nova Scotia, and we're going to wind up in the midsection where Halifax is. We're leaving St. John's. We've got about another hour and 20 minutes left of flying to do. And so far, winds at Halifax are going to be spicy. Winds 200 at 11, gusts 16. But it's more like a poblano pepper. We're not talking jalapeno or like, you know, strong spice. It's just going to keep us on our A game a little bit. That's fine. Now, there's snow, and clouds are overcast at 800. So, since I'm thinking about this now, let me go ahead and double check what the approach is going to look like for Halifax. The altitude at the airport is 477 feet. The ILS minimum decision height is 100 feet above the ground, 545 feet barrow. So that means at a calibrated altitude of 545 feet, we're going to need to see the runway. If we do not, there is a very good chance we'll either have to go around or potentially divert to a different airport. Now, they had it such that we could go to Moncton if we needed to divert, which is Charlie Yankee Quebec Mike. That is in the province of New Brunswick, unless I'm mistaken, and also not that far away from the province of Prince Edward Island. We're not going to see very much of PEI unless we actually are very high above and can see pretty far, which is always a possibility. But welcome aboard, everybody. Happy to have you with us as we fly west from the easternmost point with an international airport in Canada to probably the westernmost point and potentially segue right into maybe a mini Alaska series as I reminisce on a past trip that I took a couple summers ago, which was utterly off the charts amazing. I want to go back to Canada. I want to go back to Alaska so bad, but I wouldn't mind taking a trip up to Canada to see some friends. And if you are watching on a replay, or if you're watching and you're lurking, welcome. I heart my lurkers. You guys bring up the channel algorithm, so thank you for stopping in today. We have since crossed flight level 180 or 18,000 feet, so we can go standard pressure now. And yeah, it is really bright out there. it's kind of making it difficult for me to see the screens, even with the brightness all the way up. But it's also because of the fact that I think my graphics are set a certain way, so not worried about it. Not worried. We're doing an open climb right now since there's no ATC, and I feel like getting up to cruise as fast as possible. Otherwise, we'd be doing a managed climb, and we are well on our way. In fact, we left the St. John's of Aurora a while ago, and we are 20 nautical miles from Texas, and we have a little bit of traffic in front of us, some 17 nautical miles out. Looks like they're on the move though, so I better watch myself. There we go. And that is a live traffic flight. The flight is going to be roughly an hour and a half at worst, because the block time for this trip was about 2 hours and 7-ish minutes. So basically an hour and a half plus or minus a half an hour of ground time for both departure and arrival. Usually departure is like average to be something between like 9 to 12 minutes, and the arrival takes longer because you're usually going to taxi longer to the gate. But give or take 15 or 20 minutes, I would say we should be in Halifax no later than probably 7:30, 7:45 at the latest, with a little bit of a delay. If I was flying on VATSIM, I'd be doing things like, listening to ATC for instructions, potentially being vectored or given a more direct approach to an airport, and things of that nature. I'd be talking to them. I'd probably be on a frequency. You'd hear me doing more of that. Today, this is just a really chill flight, and this might be a really chill flying series. I'm not in any particular hurry to hop on VATSIM right now. I like flying on the network. I like having air traffic control, but there are also days when I, quite frankly, couldn't be bothered. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm okay with that. So we are leaving what I believe is the island of Newfoundland. I usually get these both confused, or sometimes do, because this territory is actually Newfoundland and Labrador. And I forget if Newfoundland is the bigger portion of the province of Canada up north, or it's the island. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a few seconds, answer that question, and sharpen up DIGI geography, because things. Let's go ahead and see what I can find. It is the easternmost province of Canada.
Final approach checklist complete.
Iowa Scotsman, thank you very much for the tier 1 sub and appreciate your 43 months of support. Thank you so much, friend. Welcome aboard. The island of Newfoundland. So it is definitely Newfoundland, and it looks like Labrador is the greater region with a land border with Quebec. So there we are. We are on our way to Acmere, and that's literally 351 nautical miles away. I would strongly suspect, for that matter, that we're going to begin descent before we get to Acmere, unless I'm wrong. Let me double check. Well, let's see. We would have how much room? 30, 20. We're at 38,000 feet. So we would probably want to be at about 5,000 feet or 3,000 feet. 3,000 feet. 3,000 feet for Liros. So we're going to be losing roughly 35,000 feet. If we were losing 36,000, we'd want to start the descent 130 nautical miles out. So yeah, like I said, we're going to be beginning when we're somewhere around 80 to 90 nautical miles out from Agmere. And we're going to be flying for a little bit. And I have no problem with that. Okay. We're flying through a pretty interesting part of the world. I am flying in airspace where you have this dance that happens usually nightly and daily. Westbound flights from Europe pop through this part of the country on their way in to places on the East Coast, especially the Northeast Coast. Flights bound from the States to Europe usually depart in the evening times, like sometimes maybe as early as, I'm guessing, 7 p.m. But essentially what happens is they use these weird connecting routes. There are a whole bunch of lines that are above Newfoundland, which take pilots to departure points, which set them up for these things called NAT tracks. And essentially, it's kind of like highways in the sky that dictate where people are going to be, what lane they're going to be in to cross from the US and Canada into Europe. You know, Dublin, the UK, Scotland, you know, Amsterdam, so Netherlands. But yeah, and what's funny is if you go to places like Flight Radar 24 or if you go to adsbexchange.com, you can see the nightly routine. It kicks off, I think, I want to say around 7:30. So in theory, if I land at Halifax, no, I would have to land at someplace like Boston to really get an appreciation for it. Theoretically, though, it could be possible you'll see planes queuing up at the gates to depart Halifax to go to France, you know, the UK, Scotland, etc. And that could happen as early as 7:30. So depending on when we get to Halifax, you might see the live traffic actually do that. You might. It depends. I do have live traffic turned on. Fuzzy Pickles, by the way, this is FS 2020. This is Microsoft Flight Simulator. There is a newer version of Microsoft Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, which has slightly enhanced visuals all around. I find FS 2020 is more consistent with the airliner experience right now. Eventually, the torch will be passed to FS 2024. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that sim get more stable and more friendly towards, multiple kinds of planes and add-ons and payware. I feel like with FS 2024 though, I'm going to be leaning more on payware add-ons like GSX and some payware aircraft to have a better experience. Unless of course the other freeware planes like the fly-by-wire, which is what I'm flying right now, is actually going to be better. Depending on how I feel tonight, I might actually hit up another cup of coffee, but I have been actually being pretty disciplined about cutting my coffee habit back to 2 cups a day. So I'm probably going to avoid doing that if I can, unless I really feel the need to take a third cup. For a while there, I was having fun drinking a third cup of coffee on Friday nights, and I think what happened was for a while I was okay, but it kind of tipped the balance of me it tipped the balance of me actually drinking coffee on a regular basis, and then it kind of started bleeding over into me wanting a third cup of coffee throughout the week. Because what turned into a, Friday night third cup, because I wanted to stay up late anyway, turned into a Saturday night third cup, turned into a Sunday night third cup, and then it started bleeding over into the week again and again and again and again. And then it just got to a point where I was just like, ugh, like when I realized what was going on, I cut the third cup, and my brain was like, give me caffeine. But I rode that wave out. I'm back to 2 cups of coffee a day. I'm happy with that. I think that's where I'm going to keep it for quite a while, to be honest. And as it turns out, I stay up pretty late on Friday nights anyway, so the caffeine is just basically just like um, a kind of express lane for my late night gaming. If I don't drink it, I'm relatively just as fine. I just yawn a whole bunch more and potentially wind up going to sleep earlier, which is usually what I want to do anyway. As a matter of fact, when I don't drink a third cup and I stay up late, I think on average I go to sleep 30 to maybe even 40 minutes earlier. So instead of going to sleep around 4, I go to sleep around 3. Now, some people are like, oh, that's way too late. I mean, I should probably be catching up on my sleep over the weekends, but at the same time, I'm I'm relatively disciplined about that. I know I have to wake up at a certain time during the week because of what I do for a job. I'm a software developer. So if I stay up way too late on a weeknight, I'm gonna pay for it. And I can usually get away with like a bare minimum of like 6 hours. I should probably sleep more at my age, but I know once I hit like the 5.5 hour mark, the quality of my day just tanks. And don't even talk to me about sleeping less than 5 hours. So like there's a weird thing that I do after you go real world flying. Okay. Could be an energy drain. There's a weird thing I do. When I travel, I will go sometimes tactical sleep mode where I don't sleep that much, like at all. And then what happens is on my way to the airport, I usually get myself, I usually wind up in transportation on the way to the airport. I'm not driving. And I'll just like snooze on the way down there, you know, get myself ready to go, fly to my destination, have fun, yay, yay, party, party, and then just like crash the first night that I'm there. As a pilot in command, yeah, I would imagine. I can't see why that wouldn't leave you drained. Exactly, that wears you out. That wears you out. I mean, that would wear me out. So I totally understand. especially if you're flying anything heavier than a general aviation aircraft, whether it's a business jet or, like a PC-12 or a Cessna 182. In that realm, you are making a whole bunch of decisions on your own. And once you step into the realm of like airline or cargo flying, where you have somebody helping you with the systems and with communicating with ATC and getting things clicked off for you, then that's a bit less off your plate. I mean, I'm sure pilots, like airline and cargo pilots, are still borked at the end of a good session, but yeah, I'm guessing GA requires more of front load in terms of mental capacity. I think we hit our top of climb. Nice scenery. Pretty much. Pretty much. Just like in a flight sim, except that, it's for real. Like for real, real.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, to the flight deck, your captain speaking. We've just reached our cruising altitude for the flight. As we begin to settle in, I do want to remind you to please keep your feet and elbows clear from the aisle, as the flight attendants will be coming through the cabin with galley carts shortly. Also, one more reminder to please refrain from congregating near the front galley where the flight deck door is located. Thank you.
So, I would say we've got about 100 miles of just pure cruise, 100 nautical miles of pure cruise before we get to 175 out from Agmere. And once we get to about 100 nautical miles out from there, that's when we should probably begin our descent, or plan on beginning descent. We've got a 41 knot headwind, mostly on the nose, coming from 256. So it's just pushing us off slightly, not enough to make us crab extensively for the flight, but we have our auto brake set to medium. Let me do a little review of what we're going to expect once we get to Halifax. The Halifax arrival is called the Learla 5, and I did update my AirX cycle, so I should be current. We're going to be coming in on Agmere, flying roughly 30 nautical miles to Learla. There's no restriction there, but once we go from Learla to Leros, we're going to need to be no faster than 200 knots and at what appears to be 3,000 feet. Leros is literally going to feed us into the ILS approach for runway 23. And again, like I said, since we need to be at or above 3,000 by the time we get to Leros, I'm potentially going to calculate the descent and manually feed it in myself, or I'm going to set up the altitude for an altitude on the approach, like roughly 1,900 feet as the final approach fix, which I think Mythic is. That's usually what I like to call it anyway. So I'm okay with that. So let's see, 2,000, probably 2,000 would be good. Oh, stand by, chat. my chat, I'm back. I just got Mrs. Digi coming through, and I just wanted to help her with her cart, her crafting cart. She likes to put things together. So let's see where we are right now. We are literally above, or just past the island. I think this is the island of Miquelon, and we just passed Miquelon International. We are going to be crossing quite a big body of water. Next major chunk of land that we're going to see in front of us is going to be Nova Scotia. And it's going to be a little while. I'd say another 35 minutes. So welcome. Oh, I got my cat saying hello. Hello, friend. One of my pretend first officers, so to speak. I had a wonderful cat many years ago that when I used to play flight sim on a smaller computer, she would like sitting like right next to me. I called her my furry first officer. She was this cute thing that just like enjoyed spending time with us. I don't know about anybody in chat. I have a huge heart for my pets, and they bring so much color to my world. They're amazing. Welcome aboard, everybody, once again. If you are new or if you're just joining, I am in the fly-by-wire A320neo in Air Canada colors, and we are flying to Halifax. We took off from St. John's a little while ago. The chrono says about 43 minutes of flight time so far, so it is what it is. I'm taking it as we go. Oh, excuse me. The chrono says 30 minutes of flight time, and the block time is about 44 minutes so far. Yeah, dogs are cool too. I like dogs, especially when they're not mine. In a different world, I would probably have owned a husky by now, but I think, you know, the kind of work that I do and the kind of traveling that I do, I like having the pets that I do. It might change in the future. Probably won't. Probably keep getting cats. But again, I'm a big fan of dogs. Some of the dogs in my neighborhood are just, you know, so friendly. So it's a cool thing. Where are we? We're definitely in the bay, no doubt about that. Let me take a look. Can I see Oh, there we go. Now I can see the world map. It doesn't show me anything. It does not show me things for the names of those bodies of water. It's okay, I guess. We are at 38,000 feet, and the passengers, I'm sure by now, have enjoyed their fill of pretzels and Biscoff cookies. I wouldn't mind having some. Actually, next time I get some disposable spend, I might buy some Biscoff cookies online. And just some more of the airliner stuff. If any of you follow me on Discord, I sometimes post up about, you know, adventures and things. It was a while ago that I talked about, you know, my affinity for airline snacks. Biscoff cookies are high on that list. I mean, if I was like in first class or business, I'd probably be getting like, you know, a catered meal, like a sandwich in a bag. But I don't know. There's something kind of funny about getting Biscoff cookies, especially when I'm on my way out to a destination, that makes me be like, okay, yeah, this is a thing. So I am a fan of them. I have been a fan of them. I'll probably continue to be a fan of them. They're tasty, and they're really, great with coffee. Hot take: Americans Biscoffs are supreme. Yes, sir. My voice cracked, but yeah, I 1000% agree. I've taken more than a few flights on American, and Biscoffs with coffee. I do. When I had Biscoff cookies at home, I drank them in the morning with coffee, and what I do is I basically bite into them, take a sip of coffee, and let the coffee kind of melt the cookie down. So it just kind of, first it tempers the temperature of the coffee, and second, it's just a great taste. But Biscoff cookies are superb. I can't tell any difference between airline, we'll just call them airline takes on Biscoffs. When I flew to Alaska, I did like a, I want to say I did like a 6.5 hour flight westbound on a 737-900 Max, and they had Biscoffs. What was it? It was an Alaska Airlines flight. They had Biscoff cookies, and they were so friendly. Such an amazing staff. I I was not aware that other airlines don't offer you all the soda in the can. Again, I've had enough American Airlines flights under my belt to know that when I fly with them and I opt for the soda, they give me the cup with the ice, they pour the soda in my cup, and they give me the can as well. I mean, sometimes they'll give me the cup with the ice and the can, and then I open the can and pour the soda in, but I get the whole thing. Okay. I haven't flown on JetBlue yet. I'd be curious to try their service, but I think I'm guessing it's largely dependent upon where I want to go in the States. Like if I was out of Boston, then for sure I'd be flying JetBlue all over the place, or at least to most places. You know, granted that their flight service quality was good. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, over the years, my mileage has gone up in terms of how far out I've gone to fly to places. Alaska definitely is the furthest west I've gone, period. The furthest amount of time zones I've gone backwards. A couple of years ago, I did a family vacation to Alaska on a bucket list trip. It, Nick, it was unbelievable. And I think you were around when I did the debrief. But basically, we took a couple of weeks. We flew up to Fairbanks, rode down on a land tour across several cities: Fairbanks, Cantwell, Talkeetna, Anchorage, um, Whittier. Where we boarded a boat, a cruise ship, and we cruised down from Whittier to Vancouver. Is the milk run Seattle to Anchorage? I forget, or is it Anchorage to Vancouver, or is it different? I think I did once upon a time. I did Seattle to Juneau in the sim for fun in P3D, but I did not. Oh, sorry. Okay, they do both Seattle Anchorage and Anchorage Seattle. Now that would be a challenge. That would be something pretty cool. If the sim didn't use as much juice in terms of using my GPU up, I could theoretically fly Seattle to Anchorage and Anchorage back to Seattle, doing scenery dev both ways. But there's a problem. I'm not built like I used to be. And I think one or two flights on stream that are much shorter is usually going to be the way I roll. It's okay. It's okay. You're in good company. Yeah, yeah. I think I'd like to buy or create the Ketchikan scenery, but I haven't mastered working with terraforming at all. In fact, I don't know it at all, and I don't know how people actually do it. So certain airports, certain regions, I'm going to be averse to building airports for. I mean, the only way through that is just by learning how to do it myself. So I might actually do that in the future. I might. I will say though, when the land tour was over and I cruised out of Whittier Bay, just east of Anchorage, and we went down the coast, we, you know, we went to, we went to, what was it? We cruised past Yakutat. I'm trying to remember what island it was that we went to. I forget the name of it, but after that island we went to Juneau and then Ketchikan, and then we cruised from there open flat out to Vancouver. But yeah, that area down there was beautiful. And in in the one island we went whale watching. When we got to Juneau, we went up the side of the mountain on a tram, and then in Ketchikan we took a bus to a boat tour of some of the islands in the bay, and it was amazing, absolutely amazing. The thing that I like about Alaska is I think they have the most pilot licenses per capita. So if you move to Alaska, getting a pilot's license might be higher up on your priorities than you think. If I did, that's what I would do. Just saying. Checking my mileage here, we've got 167 nautical miles to go. I think I'm going to take this as roughly my 60 nautical mile warning to get my performance set for our descent, because it's either going to be a manual descent or an automatic one. So let's see. Let me take a look at the data. Right now, we're still looking at, we're looking at 29083 actually. Hold on. We're looking at 29083. So let's plug that in. What are we looking at for temperature? Temperature is going to be 0 with a dew point of -1. Winds still look like they are 200 at 11 with gusts 16. So I'm going to put winds 200 at 16. Just so we play from the worst case scenario, 18,000 feet for the transition. And for the baro minimums, we are going to take 545 feet as our baro. I'm going to take landing flaps 3, which means the ref plus 5 speed is probably going to be somewhere between 144, 145-ish and 150. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And with that said, I'm going to go upstairs and we're going to do flap mode off, landing flap 3 on, and if we check the center console, we can see flap mode off and GPWS flap 3. I never disarmed my ground spoilers, but that's okay. Now we're ready for descent. We can take medium or low auto brake for the landing. And if I take a look at the runways at Halifax, 23 is a 10,500 foot long runway. I would prefer to be off the runway as quickly as possible. What's probably going to happen is we're going to wind up taxiing up Charlie to Alpha to the terminal. And I forget exactly which gate we chose, so we're going to play the game called See Where the Most Service Vehicles Are and go taxi up there. But I would presume it would be gate, I think, line 23 to the center. I forget what the gate numbers are. I can probably try to find them if I know where the paperwork is for the airport. Used to be you could see that. So let me take a look at Stanfield International. Show me the charts and show me the gates. Parking positions. There we go. It's probably going to be gate 23. 23 or 24. I think 23 because it was closer to the center of the terminal. Yeah, it's going to be the center apron, not the north apron, which means we can take taxiway Alpha to the center apron taxiway and then just turn left once we get past roughly the midsection of the airport, or once we find the gate that actually has our staff there waiting for us. I don't have GSX, so I just kind of like to play that game for fun, just so I know, or just so I figure where it is that I'm going to be. So simple enough. And let me go ahead and zoom out some more. Okay, yeah, we've crossed over the bulk of the bay at this point. We're not that far away. I'm going to leave auto brakes on medium for now, and it looks like we are going to be missing out on seeing the shore of Nova Scotia Greedas since we've got weather to contend with once we get down there. Actually, good check. Let me go ahead and see. It's still overcast at 008. Let me see if the charts on the Navigraph charts section say anything different. Ooh. Broken at 400. Overcast at 3,500. Am I going to do an auto land today? It might be my first in the sim. Clouds are broken at 400. So basically what that means is I'm going to be going below mins to actually touch down. That's interesting. I mean, we'll get a gander at what the situation is when we get closer to the airport. I mean, if it's just like, solid chunk from 3,500 all the way down to the ground, then that's going to influence that decision. But if I can even remotely see the runway, then I'm not going to worry about it because the lights are going to be bright enough for me to be able to make that call to say, hey, we're going for it. I think we should be okay. I think so. Winds haven't changed too much either. They settled down to 220 at 8. So let's go ahead and update that. And let's take a look and see where we are. We're 124 nautical miles. So technically, we can either begin descending right now, or we could wait for the system to tell us to begin descent. And since it's not telling us to, I'm going to go ahead and override the system and start figuring out what altitude I want to be at. I believe I said roughly 2,000. And we're going to go ahead and begin our descent immediately. So let's do open descent, and we'll be descending at probably about 2,000 feet per minute, starting right now.
Welcome to flight deck, ladies and gentlemen. As you may have noticed, we have begun our initial descent down to our destination. Now would be a good time to wrap up any business you need to take care of as we prepare for our approach. If you are up, once you return to your seat, we ask that you remain seated till the aircraft arrives safely at the gate. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival.
It's funny. Like, I'm still such a fan of this aircraft. The amount of effort that the fly-by-wire team put into it is evident. Seriously. And I haven't actually tried flying the A380 yet. I'm probably going to try to download it at least and fly it just for fun, just to say I did. We have left flight level 380 and we are on our way down. Ground speed's about 404 knots, so a 2,000 foot per minute descent rate makes sense. We can probably keep that up for a while, and then once our speed starts to really slow down as we get lower and lower, I'll probably ease off the descent rate. Probably keep it somewhere between 18 to 1,600 feet. But we'll see. Right now we do have ground spoilers armed, and we have auto brakes set to medium. So when we touch down, the wing spoilers are going to deploy. The plane is going to begin an aggressive stop, not a panic stop, but we're going to try to slow down as fast as possible without breaking things. And it's up to me to idle the plane and to deploy the reverse thrust. So once that happens, there's usually a few things that can happen for you to ease off the deceleration rate. You can disarm the auto brakes at about 80 knots, and you can idle the thrust and stow the reversers at 60 knots. So under 80 knots you'd be doing manual braking, and under 60 knots you'd be doing idle thrust to exit the runway. Again, once we exit, what will probably happen is we will try to exit by Charlie, and if we don't, we can exit off the next taxiway, which is probably going to be, let's see, what is it? Bravo. If something really borked happens and we have difficulty braking, again, a 10,500 foot long runway will have the last taxiway be Juliet, and then we can ride Alpha all the way back up to the air terminal. But again, as long as we don't have a problem, we could potentially be off as early as taxiway Delta. However, I kind of doubt it considering the kind of speed we're going to be keeping up with. And again, Charlie is a pretty comfortable exit point for medium braking and things like that. Okay, now, yeah, speed hasn't slowed. Speed actually increased by 1 knot, so 2,000 feet per minute is actually pretty good descent rate right now. And what do I need to do? Well, the ILS is already programmed into the flight computer, so I can turn on my landing scales now, so I can see the localizer and the glide slope come in. And we already have weather systems. I think that's predictive wind shear, and GCS, I forget what that acronym is for. We are already on, active squawk, and that's about it. Let me see what the missed approach procedure is. Missed approach, we keep going straight, and we climb to 3,000 feet on a 233 heading. Missed approach, we climb to 3,000 feet, and then I think we go to Otvuv, and then we reconnect with the approach again. So almost like a racetrack with an extended downwind all the way out to a waypoint perpendicular to Leros for us to try landing again. It's kind of amazing, like the past hour and 41 minutes really ripped by. It's nuts. Ooh, I do see some ground cover. Not a whole lot, but we are coming in. Now, if there's snow, there's precipitation. And if there's precipitation, there's the potential for icing. So I might arm the anti-ice before we even get close to the clouds. Once we get past, like 18,000 or like 16,000 feet. Once we enter, if we enter the clouds at 18,000, if we enter the clouds, actually, the clouds are pretty far up. Once we get into that blob up ahead, I'm expecting to be somewhere around flight level 210, 200, like somewhere between 19 and 20,000 feet. So we're probably going to have the anti-ice turned on from that point going forward. A little bit of wind, not much. Just kind of blowing through a wispy cloud here. And then the next thing in front of us is just this wall of cloud, probably precip. So Halifax will probably be very snowy, just like St. John's was. Thank you again to everyone that's stopped by today and said hello or just lurked. Appreciate having you all aboard with us. We are on our way into Halifax after having taken off from St. John's on the island of Newfoundland some 56 minutes ago. We've got about an hour and 10 minutes on the clock for block time, and it's possible we might get there like way ahead of schedule, like a cool 20 to 25 minutes ahead. It depends. In theory, one wouldn't necessarily want to be extremely early to the gate because that might mess with scheduling and might mess with scheduling and gate availability. That's what I guess I was trying to say. While I'm at it, I will potentially be doing quiet streams or no microphone streams this week. Like I mentioned in my Discord, a quiet stream is one where I predominantly get quiet. And by quiet, I mean like I don't talk. I'll probably have my microphone muted. And if I do a quiet stream, whether it's to fly, to drive a virtual truck, or to work on scenery development, I will make a note of it on the stream title and on the notification bumper that you get when you see somebody has gone live. So I'll also put tags to say something like silent streamer or no mic. So essentially, that will be how it works. If I do a no microphone streams, I will be able to just keep grinding on whatever it is that I'm doing, but possibly either stop at times just to catch up with chat. But the point is, quiet streams are probably going to be more geared towards me plowing through a project or something of that nature. We are below 18,000 feet. We've left the flight levels, and we're going to go to local pressure. Current local pressure is 29090. What is the temperature or pressure at the airport again? Latest is 29085. We are coming in. Hopefully broken at 3,500 means we'll be able to see the runway and maybe have a cloud or two in the way, but no way for me to tell right now. Let me leave this at 3,000. Oh, wait, hold on. That's the wrong one. There we go. This to 3,000. We are at about 320 knots, so I can reduce this to probably about 1,700 feet per minute. We should still be good. We're on the ball for maintaining speed. I didn't see a point at which the computer calculated a top of descent, potentially either due to me doing the flight plan a certain way or just me not entering the descent altitude in time. And that was about like 120 like 80 nautical miles ago. 80, sorry. That was about 80 nautical miles ago that we actually started descending. It's kind of ridiculous sometimes how quickly you actually start going, heading back down to the ground. So, grab a quick gander at the sky. We're going to be saying goodbye to the blue for a little bit, or at least, excuse me, until my next flight. And outside temperature is -7, -22 for SAT. Just because I don't see precip doesn't mean there isn't any. So, on that note, I'm going to turn on my anti-ice, and since I'm at about 10, just like 11,000, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my landing lights before I forget. And it looks like we're beginning to slow down even more because we're about to cross 10,000 feet. I can't think of any part in the world except under certain specific situations where you can go faster than 250 knots under 10,000 feet. Usually it seems to be the, I guess, global standard. Once you go below 10,000 feet, you can't go faster than that. We're still a touch quick, so do I want to deploy speed brakes for this? Yeah. Speed brakes out to 50%. Got a board meeting going on here. Boards are out. Okay, so let's take a look at the arrival again. Lirla. Oh yeah. We're like way above the path. I'm sorry, way below it. So let's go ahead and kind of level off expectations at 500 feet per minute for now, and let me rearm the spoilers. How far until... Oh yeah, we've got a way to go. So we've got about 100-ish nautical miles. I think like we're way ahead of where we need to be. So 500 feet per minute right now is reserved. I probably should have been keeping a much closer eye on my descent rate as we clear the clouds, but the good news is I can see pretty far. So cloud obstruction blocking me from landing on the runway might not be something to be afraid of. But there are times when I get really close to landing and you just break out and see the runway at minimums or just above it. Matter of fact, let's hold off on descending any further since we're about 7,000 feet. We'll keep it at 7,000 until I can see the approach, and then once I see that left turn and once we get within range, we'll be able to descend the rest of the way. That's what I'm banking on right now. Again, I didn't need to descend this early. I miscalculated because I wasn't paying attention. But yeah, again, I plan on probably at least 1 or 2 quiet streams this week, and doing some cool scenery dev stuff if I can. Provided I don't run into issues with time or things don't get too spicy with regards to extra projects, then I don't see me not working on... I'll definitely be doing virtual trucking in my off time. I'll probably be able to also continue doing scenery dev as I continue on a project or two. And then we'll see where we are for next week. But next weekend is definitely going to be a hands-off, no stream weekend because of the fact that I'm going to be doing some things. So we'll definitely be calling it a no stream weekend because I literally will not be. I don't see how I'd be squeezing it in anyway. And that's fine. All right, so we're coming up on our approach in, I want to say about like 10-ish minutes or less. So 7,000 to 3,000, 4,000 feet, which means a little over 10 nautical miles before the waypoint, but I'll probably be descending long before that. It's kind of cool how you can kind of sort of start to see things warming up and everything isn't totally white on the ground anymore. That's kind of cool. It's pretty dope, actually. I would have been breaking, out of the clouds and having to be at 250 knots on the way down if I descended closer anyway. I usually don't like being this low to the ground this far out because then You know, you you kind of feel like you're you're uh, you're just taking too long. Also wondering if I'm going to be able to make my kind of sort of annual tradition now of doing cross the pond westbound from a European airport to a American one. And there's a big to do about doing it on VATSIM. You know, you file, you request, like, you vote on the airport you want to fly out of. You kind of like pick or draw to see whether or not you're going to be able to get your a slot for departure, and it's a big to do. Like, it's a big event, and if you want to fly out of those airports or any of those areas relative to those airports, and you are not reserved or you are not a part of the assigned rotation, you are going to go further down the priority pole, and the traffic that's actually assigned to fly on VATSIM west across the Atlantic, that's going to be what actually gets assigned. So that's usually why I do MSFS multiplayer, just to be infinitely more relaxed and hands off the comms. I can stream it if I want to. I don't have to stream it if I don't want to. And probably what's even easier is for me not to stream a flight like that and watch other people fly it, friends of mine, so that I can kind of participate in their chat, tell them where I am, see the moment when they actually begin descending to the airport, which is usually the great feeling, especially if you've been flying 6, 7, 8 hours. Once you cross that point where you hit top of descent and you begin descending, it's just like things pick up so quickly. You have that kind of like relief knowing you've gotten through the majority of the flight. And when you touch down, it's so cool. I mean, I can only speak for myself as a flight sim pilot, but it's cool that you get to a point where it's just like, oh man, I'm on the ground. You know, if you run into issues on the ground, then at least you made it to the airport, and that's still enough of like a sticking point for me. For me, at least. Okay, so between Lirla and Livros, there's going to be about 15 nautical miles. So once I get to about 20 nautical miles out from Lirla, I might actually begin descending the rest of the way, just so I know that I can get to where I need to be. In fact, let me see what happens if I go manage descent again down to 3,000. Looks like it is going to take me down from 7,000 feet. That's fine. We're in descent. We are now no greater than 60 nautical miles out from the airport, direct. And let's see, let's go ahead and confirm. We have ground spoilers armed, GPWS flap 3, which means we have flap 3 mode on. Flap mode is off, but landing flap 3 is on. And spoilers are armed, or ground spoilers are armed. Auto brake is medium. The missed approach altitude is set for 3,000 feet. I think once we get to Livros, I'm probably going to arm the approach mode, if it doesn't already arm itself at that point. Like the localizer glide slope arm is what happens when you when you tag this button. But there's another kind of like approach mode that kicks on when you get really close to where you're supposed to be. and I forget how it's calculated or actually executed, but you can manually execute approach mode from here. It does look like we're in approach mode already. Oh no, wait, hold on. No, we're not approach phase yet. We will be soon. If we slow down a little bit more than we should, that's fine. I'm not worried about it too much. I might do speed intervene just to keep going faster before we get to the ILS approach.
$2,500.
Okay, 3,000, but 2,500 on the GPWS. I believe that's it. And let me double check my rad nav. India Juliet Golf at 109.9. Sim Caesar coming through with a rate of 33. What is up, my friend? Hello. Thank you so much for coming over and for having your wonderful audience say hi. Hello, Monster, and hello, chat. Welcome aboard. Anyone lurking that does not know who Sim Caesar is,
How are you? I'm doing good.
you may want to give him a follow because he does quite a little bit of flight sim streaming. Actually, a lot of it. Hello, friends, and welcome. Makers Dave, hello. Thank you for following. We are almost at Halifax after having flown out of St. John's, an impromptu new series called Flying West in Canada. Hello, Monster. Good to see you.
How are you? I'm doing good.
Cyber Whiskey, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. And to everyone watching that does not know me, always possible, my name is DIGI Driver. I am a flight sim streamer and scenery developer, and sometimes I like to drive virtual trucks. We are on our way into Halifax. We're in FS 2020. I'm flying the fly-by-wire in the Air Canada livery. Kind of doing a ferry flight, but this is a beautiful, beautiful, paint job. I like it. We're on our way in, and we are at altitude to cross Leerog at 3,000. We're going to need to slow down, but since I am on managed speed and altitude, that will be done for me automatically. It's a beautiful late afternoon flight, and it does look like I'm going to be coming into some precip and some less than desirable conditions. So this could get spicy pretty quick. I might decide to do an auto land. We'll see what happens. I have my auto brake set to medium, and my spoilers are armed. So give it another 5 minutes and we'll be on the ground. Give or take. Once we land, we'll probably pull off by Charlie and then proceed to the terminal. So again, thank you so much for stopping by. Sim, really, thank you for the raid. I'm grateful for the company. We are almost done flying for tonight, and I suspect I'm probably not going to be doing much flying this week due to just a few things, and also trying to do some scenery dev for FS 2020. I might do another airport for FS 2024. If no one is familiar, I am on flightsim.to. Just search me as DIGI driver. I have FS 2020 airports available for download there, some small ones, and also FS 2024. My airport is Higginsville Industrial Municipal. That's KHIG, Kilo Hotel India Golf, a really small general aviation airport. I'm trying to build more scenery and get back in the flow. I guess that's going to depend on a few things. Honestly, I think it'd be cool to do this full time. Lyles, I am flying. Welcome, my friend. Happy to have you aboard. Folks, if you like retro gaming and RPG, you might want to go check out my friend Lyles VT that does stream on a somewhat regular basis, I believe. Usually you're at least weekly. But hello, thanks so much for saying hello. We are coming into the tail end of our flight, and we descended entirely too early, all the way down to Halifax. But it looks like we're getting ready to actually get set up with our approach mode. Or at least we will be going into approach mode very, 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 very soon. Yeah, we're gonna be landing very shortly. We are on MSFS multiplayer. I believe I am East USA. And we've got some folks in the area, not that many that I can tell, but we are whizzing across the ground, and we're going to be landing probably in less than like 2 minutes at this point. We're going to descend just before we get to the Liros waypoint, and then turning final, and then I'll probably pop in the approach mode and get myself set up. But we'll be slow before we get to that point because we need to set up for our landing anyway. Hope everybody had a great time on the Sim Caesar channel and that you are off to a great start this week. I am going to be heading out shortly after we land at Halifax. Given the amount of people that we have on stream, I might do a raid just to pass the viewers on to another person in case you want to get more Flight Sim content. Up to you. The late afternoon sun could make this a surprisingly difficult approach. But it looks beautiful too. See? One final sip of pretend coffee. And we are almost there. Looks like we are beginning to slow down, which makes sense. I thought we were going to descend, slow down once we actually hit that mark on the radar, but I guess we slow down ahead of it to meet that speed restriction. And since we have to be 200 knots, we need to be deploying some flaps. Clean speed 220, we're going to go to flaps 1 with slats. And the localizer just came alive. We're trying to keep 200 knots for now, just so we can be expedient about landing. Especially being like 20 nautical miles out from the airport, I wouldn't want to be much slower than like 180. Then it would really drag. let's see. I don't see any precip, but I'm going to keep my anti-ice on just to be safe. While I'm at it, let me just do a little sweep of the area so I can see who I can say hello to once I'm done. I think I already know who I'm going to raid once we get down. Unless, of course, we say hi to a friend or two. Okay, almost at the waypoint. Does look like we're going to have some visibility issues. This could be an extremely interesting landing, chat. Localizers alive. And now we are about 15 nautical miles or less from the airport. We should be turning very shortly. Right, let me go ahead and turn on approach mode now. Cat 3 single right now. We'll see whether or not we need to make it in auto land. Last time I checked the weather, it looked like that might actually have to happen. Okay, turning final. Go flaps 2. As we size up, I'm going to go ahead and hit the landing gear. And we'll hit flap 3.
Please prepare for landing.
$2,500.
Get the APU turned on but not started. We are riding that edge of the alpha floor, that orange area right there. And there's no question about it, we're in the soup. So 7.5 nautical miles from the airport, and I see nothing but cloud in front of me. We are descending. Missed approach altitude is set. I don't want to go around, so
2,500.
if we get to 1,000 and the weather does not improve, we're going to auto land this bird. Do have predictive wind shear on, weather, and GCS. Let's go. 2,500. We're coming up on 5 nautical miles from the airport, and I still see nothing. Oh, here we go. Ground contact. Nice. If I can make out the landing lights, then I won't have to go around. Do have ground contact. I can barely see anything. GBWS is giving me roughly 1,400 feet. Ooh! Is that it? That is it. Okay, landing is confirmed. No need for an auto land. Wind is coming in from 280 at 16. This is a crab. Definitely a crab.
1,000.
1,000, stable. Stable and low vis, but we have the runway in sight. Beautiful. What a sight. And precip. Okay. Cabin crew advised. Landing gear down. ECAM
500.
memo, landing no blue. Autopilot off. My aircraft.
400. 300. 200. 100. Minimum
Continue.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5,
Ooh. Load.
5.
There we go. Down. Reverse green. Decel. 80. 60 knots is done. Welcome down, everybody. Sloppy Joe over landing, but we didn't slam it, and we exited by Charlie. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and stow those speed brakes. All right, local time is probably 8:43 p.m., but it is light out, so I'm assuming probably closer to, let's see, what? We left around 2, so 3, 4, something? 4:40, 4:30? Messy landing, but we got it done. Welcome to Halifax. Hope you brought your winter coat for one last fling with the cold stuff, because it is not looking that warm yet. We can take the anti-ice off at this point, and I'll go ahead and start the APU. We can turn the landing lights off and retract them. And are we going to cross any runways here? I do not believe we are, but I'll double check. No, we're not. So, nose to taxi. Strobe light can get stowed. And there we go. Welcome down, everybody. Was nice flying along today, and happy to be on the ground at Halifax. It's a default airport. Maybe I'd like to fix it up someday, or just buy the scenery, but definitely not tonight. Tonight I'm going to go ahead, enjoy some dinner, and prep for the week. Have a good time. Where are we on the map? We are advancing slowly up Alpha, and then we're going to be going basically to the midsection of the air terminal up ahead. We're currently taxiing at about 12 knots, 12, 13, 14 miles an hour. We could go a touch faster if we wanted to. So I'll give it one extra click, not much, and I can go ahead and turn off the chronos.
You can just leave it on the.
APU is available, brake fan is on, and let's see, double check. We can turn off the indicators. Flight directors and landing scales can come off. And where are we? Alright, we are coming into the terminal area. See if we can squeeze this fan between the fuselage and the nacelles. Good. There we go. I'll do it now. Standby check. Just gotta get something. I'll be right back. Almost there. Right, for me, folks. Let's go ahead and continue. Taxi to the gate, check up, and go raid, like, quickly. Again, appreciate everybody stopping by. Thanks for everybody that followed for the raid. Thanks again to Iowa Scotsman for the 43 months on the Tier 1 on the reset today. And here we are. Beautiful. Excelente. All right, now, here's the question. Can I find my gate? It looks like it is right there. Looks like they moved me just south of the center of the apron. Let's go ahead and turn off the taxi lights at this point. We don't need them. I'm going to turn in here, it looks like. We are. Okay. Go ahead, take it all the way in. Marshaller. Turn off lights. Come on. Come on. There we go. A little bit more juice, plane. Come on. Stop. A little bit further back. Not that much. Because I'm picky about that. I'm assuming somewhere around here. So, parking brake set. APU is running. And let's go ahead and hit the All right, let's go ahead and square up with the gate. Power and jetway. And that's it, chat. 1 hour and 51 minutes of a 2-hour block time flight means roughly 2 hours, 2 hours, like 7 minutes. We got here like about 15 minutes ahead of schedule, which isn't bad. I mean, technically it would have been better for the company to be on time, but whatever. And let's see, wing lights off. Beacon light can come off since we have power. And I can turn off my fuel pumps now. Beautiful. Probe heat can come off. I never actually turned the APU bleed on anyway. That's okay. All right, folks, appreciate you all coming along for this flight today. We are safely on the ground at Halifax, and I'm going to go ahead and rate out real fast. But again, appreciate everybody stopping by today. Really, really, really grateful, and appreciate having you all of you here. We're going to go ahead and rate a friend of mine. Let's see if we can pull them up on my system and just pass the love on. There we go. I hear myself echo. There we go. I did it quickly enough. All right. So let me do viewers high to low, and it's going to be a lot easier for me to find people at this rate. Okay. Now, okay, let me go ahead and raid my friend Continuum. Feel free to pass the love, spam, emotes, whatever. Have a great day, everybody. Much love to all of you. And like I always like to say at the end of every stream, if you want true peace, you want the Prince of Peace, and that is Jesus Christ. Take care, friends. Until next time, we'll see ya.